Welcome to the fifth round of Whisperer in the Darkness, or the Whisperer in the Darkness. Now we have Natural Order Elves against Sligh. Not a conventional Elves list with Natural Order. We don't see that every day. But as I said in previous videos, I like to see different decks. Meta decks is also fine, and I guess I do watch some videos of the most popular decks when I prepare for a tournament, maybe to see how their play patterns are and so on. But for entertainment purposes, I do like to watch some weird or innovative lists. But Sligh is also a nice one to actually be able to see, because I think Sligh is a reasonable deck to play, and our player on the right usually plays combo, but he does have his Sligh sleeved up most of the time, or all the time maybe, and is someone you can actually play against in Euros 2026. His playmat he got in Euros 2024 when I joined him and two other guys, Jesper and Jacob, and they're going to Euros this year. Those three guys and Simon, who is Jacob's brother. I do know that he's usually playing some weird lists, so you cannot meta call from seeing him on Sligh here. But if I was facing Elves, I would be happy with my Sligh deck, at least in the classic configurations. Priest of Titania. And he knows that he will not trade, so he can just keep swinging with the pop, because Priest of Titania is probably the best mana dog there is, and one of the most important cards in the Elves deck, as far as I know. I'm not an Elves expert, as I have also stated previously. Now two fetch lands, so one goes to the bin, and now he will use 3 mana for, if it's after combat, he won't use it for ball lightning, of course, but he will probably play down a vortex. Yep, vortex. That's rough. Yeah, take 2 damage each upkeep, and you cannot gain life. That is the way you deal with elves. You just hinder their ability to deploy anything, and then slowly kill them with a creature or two, and then also the vortex. A mana dog, a Finton elf, that is. And do you do anything more? But seeing the start against the Elves player, you know something is up with that Heath. You know that they might have Swords to Plowshares or Armageddon or similar, so you do not know that there is something up their sleeve. Muck Fanatic takes care of yeah, I would do that as well, because he would probably trade for the Jackal Pup. Okay, so he taps 2 mana in response. Has 2 green mana floating. What will you do with that? 3 mana. Okay, fair enough. He couldn't have done that surprise in combat, but he now has 2/2/2s. That's fair as blockers. And he's at 9 life, and Lesser on the right has 2 cards in hand, it looks like. 4 mana for a natural order, sacrificing the token, it looks like. Yep, token goes to the graveyard. No, okay, it's removed from the area. And what do you find here? Maybe a Nishoba. Yeah, that's rough. That is rough. Nishoba you kind of cannot deal with. You need to deal it damage 7 times for it to be killed. It removes all damage whenever it's dealt any damage, and then removes 1+1 counter. That's so nice against Sligh, and yeah, I guess I would not give up yet as the Sligh player, because they do have the Vortex down, so at least the Neshoba doesn't gain any life. 13 life. Oh, okay, we saw a ball lightning, so if he can get him to attack next turn and not deploy a lot of toughness, it does look like someone in quite good shape. You need to take 2 damage from Vortex. You are at 7, yes, okay. Lasse kindly reminds him. Of course, you need to be wary of the cards you're playing and remind your opponent, but your opponent needs to look at your cards as well. I also kind of forget that sometimes with the Winter Orb. I'm not trying to cheat or anything, I just sometimes forget that I do have an opponent who hinders me in doing what I like to do, and that is untapping. So he plays an Acolyte, draws, and adds 3 mana. Symbiote, it looks like. Then he can untap it. Yeah, using 1 mana there. A Ranger, then he can untap it and add more mana. Untaps and play the land. So now it taps for 4 because the Ranger is an elf. Symbiote isn't, it's an insect. And does he have a deranged hermit? If he does, it looks like a lot of toughness. Yeah, it looks like a hermit. 5 mana. And is that a hermit, the one on top there? Yes, it is. There goes the 5 mana. You can. Yeah, okay, 4 1/1s. I think it's confusing when you use sleeves that are the same sleeves as your deck, especially if you do play a deck that can play morph creatures. So maybe get some tokens. I am getting some myself. Okay, playing Acolyte and another Priest. This looks rough for Sligh here. Swings for 7, 8, 9. Cannot attack. It has summoning sickness. 10. Swings for 10. Yep, okay, so taking 10 damage, going down to 1 with the Vortex.
Ja, vi er enige om, at jeg kan gennemere, det forsøger så tydeligt så lige lidt nu. De må være kommet ned nu, de her. Ja. Du er helt sikker?
He can.
Jamen så er det din tur.
Yeah, this is. If he has like 1 burn spell and has a fire blast, then it's enough. Because Vortex will deal 2. Then he's at 5. Then you can Fire Blast for 4. You can also just have 2 bolts. You can also play that to trade for some stuff. I think this is a little desperate. If he lets 1 in, he cannot let 1 damage in. You have to block everything here. Yeah, you have to. Just block with all your elves and more. Because he's dead on the swingback, you just need to chump with everything. Yup. And now what? Yeah, this game is over. Maybe he shows a fire blast.
Der er ikke noget hokus pokus. Jeg kan bare tage attack.
He is dead on combat here.
Det var ekoterning for mig.
Now what? No, he couldn't have anything.
Hvor
Yeah,
meget-
fire blast to 1.
Så du...
So needs one more, and yeah, that is game for 1 for Elves.
Det var dig, der får indskrevet den her. Ja. Og så må du komme back.
That is game 1 for Elves, and popped, just getting a read, and there it goes. Combat, swing, dead.
Burn fra toppen der.
Sadly, 1 kill spell too few. 1-0. If you are playing MTGO or Magic the Gathering online and are using a rental service, or if you want to do that, I have a link in the description for a referral and a coupon code which makes you get 30% off on your next subscription. So consider that, and onto the video. First game was very close, down to 1 life point, and now we have Sligh starting out, finding a mountain, maybe a pop, maybe a mark, maybe a... well, I don't know, what else could you... maybe a Grim Lavamancer. That is not great here on turn 1, but it is a turn 1 play at least. But probably a creature. It is the pop, the best 1-drop in the deck. And if it's not answered quickly, it is difficult for the opponent. The dream is to deal 4 damage. More than 4 is... that's extremely good. And playing a mark, destroying the insect, and swings for 2. Keeping the creature count low with the insect and the ability to just return stuff, you get blockers that you cannot deal with. So I think taking care of the symbiote is important. But now he needs to take care of another one. So second symbiote, also a foil. A ton of foils on our elf side there, and it's bolted. And no other creature. That signals a priest in hand, and swings for 8 here. This is fast. So at 10 already. And Sligh has used all the possible amount of mana it can produce in the first 3 turns. Very effective. They're just talking about fetching here, I guess. And of course you like to see fetch lands and pain lands. As a Sligh player, that is just 3 points of damage. City of Brass is like the MVP of Sligh when it's on the opposing side. He finds a white mana here, probably Swords to Plowshares. And what do we see here? No, it's a Circle of Protection red. So copper red, and now he doesn't have mana for next turn. Okay, he drops a land here, so he can. Okay, he didn't. He doesn't have any mana next turn, so he cannot prevent stuff. Now is probably a good time to get in some. Maybe a Ball Lightning more would almost seal the deal. No, he doesn't have that. But could he drop maybe a Vortex? That could also take care of. No. Does that work? Can you prevent? No, you can still prevent. You can just not gain life, I guess. Now well, when in doubt, put the card on the screen. Here it is, and of course you can still prevent. You cannot gain any life, but you can still prevent it. So Vortex will just kill Lasse himself. Not the way you want to tackle this card. And now he does have mana up. He has 3 mana sources now. If he gets a creature or more creatures down, he'll, of course, have more. But back to Lasse. And he still needs to attack with Pop. That drains the mana from our Elves player. But putting such sideboard cards into the deck really hurts Cradle. Because there are great Sligh tech for the Elf deck, but surely Cradle can still work under a little bit lower amount of creatures. 1 mana for Cradle, playing another one, and we do see an Acolyte. So Acolyte hits the board here, getting a draw in. And he puts a dice just to remember to pay the Echo, I guess. But he does tap a lot of mana. He does tap a lot of mana, which means that Lassie can hopefully or maybe bolster through some damage here. He has 5 lands and I don't know how many cards in hand, but he doesn't do that. I don't know what is going on here. Maybe he doesn't have a full grip, but only 2 mana up, and one of them needs a fetch, so that's down to 6 life. But he probably doesn't have it. 1 mana for a Queuing Dryad. One of the powerful cards combined with Priest. Doing some shenanigans. Tapping 2, using the Korean Dryad, and playing land for turn here. And Symbiote. And we see the flashy Armageddon in the hand here of our Elf player. I don't think this is enough to support blowing up all the lands yet, but it will be a problem for Sligh, but also kills the cup activations. He only has 1 creature that can tap for mana. And ships the turn. Don't want to trade away that Acolyte there. And it also has Summoning Sickness, so of course he can't. He returns it using the Symbiote and gets to get another drawing. One of the engines of the Elf deck is this like recursion of the Acolyte, getting a ton of draws. He doesn't know if you want to fetch or not. Add 1/2 mana to play the Acolyte. Maybe he draws like the source that he needs. Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't look like it. But Lesser has him put down to 7 life. Just growing the size of his hand here might be a good strategy, because maybe the Elf player does a little too much, and now the Cradle is tapped, so it's not a lot of activations he can have in that circle of protection, compared to how many spells Lassie can fire off in one go. Okay, I take that back. We do see another Cradle hitting the board, or do we? Yeah, it is on line here. I don't think this is a Sligh list with Wasteland. But what can you do about this? It taps for 5 mana. That is just maybe too scary. 6 mana here in the end step. Wow. Pyrokinesis deals 4 damage, and you can put it wherever you'd like. And of course he returns 1 of them, but he can't return more than 1. And 3 of the creatures go. So now he has one blocker and 3 mana of Cop. Circle of Protection can only protect the player life total. It cannot protect against stuff that targets creatures. Seal is played. It's an enchantment for 1 red, and you can sacrifice it to deal 2 damage. Now Cradle offline. So he swings here. Yeah, trying to get an activation. So an activation on Circle of Protection. Maybe. He needs to force through damage here. This is a great opportunity.
Du tager 2. Ja, det gør jeg.
So 2 damage was taken. A cursed scroll.
Hvad er det? Hvad er?
Nice one. This is artifact damage. So this isn't red here. This and Barbarian Ring are ways that Lassie can actually deal damage through this Circle of Protection. It cannot protect against artifacts or colorless in general, which all lands are colorless. So this is a clock. I'm not sure how fast it will be. Depends on chance, but it's a clock. Playing down an elf. And Lasse did it at the exact correctly time here with the board wipe. If he didn't wipe the board, we would have seen an Armageddon next turn, I'm sure. Finding a forest with the fetch, going down to 4. Now it's only 2 Curse Scroll activations from Lethal. Only 2 Curse Scroll activations. Another dog. And we see a disenchant effect on the Curse Scroll. So Bolt is played. The last mana is tapped. Curse Scroll on him. And we see an Incinerate. That is 3 damage, and he doesn't have any more mana, it looks like. The Glare is becoming a problem here. And now we see him Lasse drawing for turn, drawing Incinerate. Yeah, okay, we see a tapped land over there right now, and that is game. That's enough damage. 1-1. Third and final game after a nice execution of how to tackle the Circle of Protection, because Circle of Protection isn't just an auto win against Sligh if you don't keep up a ton of mana. And they still have outs in some colorless spells, so you need to be wary of that. So you fetch here a Heath, finding a forest, playing an elf here, and passing the turn. So it will maybe be bolted. We'll see. Yeah, another fetch. Now from the Sligh player, finding a mountain because they don't have any forests in their decks, unless it's some really teched out stuff like playing Naturalize maybe, or it's just a beats deck. But nope, we see a 1 mana answer to the elf. Sometimes destroying these elves that are put down turn 1 is the best thing that you can do. A Lano elf is played here. I'm not sure what set this is from, but it looks nice. Like this deck is mostly foiled, so you cannot play the original ones, and 7th edition foils, which I guess is the first Lano elf in foil. I think it looks weird, but also it's quite expensive. Not sure how much, but quite expensive. We see an Acolyte here. An Acolyte is played, and we are missing land drops. Missing land drops. And now Echo should be paid before he goes to draw, of course, but it's bolted. Nicely timed bolt, waiting for them to pay echo and then just bolting them. Pseudo time walk, although they get a draw in, but they waste the whole turn cycle. Leno Elf, number 2, trying to see if this one can stick. Sligh can play some hands that relies on 1 to 2 mana, but we know that there are ball lightnings and the vortex, and you want to at least play down the vortex in this matchup. I think it's quite important. Also, now that we have seen this is a natural order list that plays Nishoba, that's a difficult thing to answer if they get some damage in and they start gaining life. So that will become a problem. Cradle. A morph is played out. A morph, not a token. This is a true morph, so representing Nantuko Vigilante, I guess. I'm not sure what else you could have here. Playing out a Grim and passing the turn. Okay, now the elf player looks like he's coming back here with more action, tapping 3/4 mana. And okay, that is a natural order. Natural order, sacrificing a creature. You need to sacrifice a creature to play it. Yeah, sacrifices the Nantuko Vigilante. I'm quite sure that's a Vigilante. We cannot see that the glare is intense here. I'm looking forward to see, yeah, of course, a Nishoba to hit the field, and Nishoba is, it's almost game over at this point. There's too much to raise here. Not even close. The elf player is at 16, and Sligh being on 17, and counters are put on it. And right now we just see a reader, and they're discussing how it works, because there's some confusion on the playing area where they're not sure if you have to prevent and remove a counter, or if you can choose so. Like if it gets 5 damage dealt to it, can you just say, okay, then it doesn't die, then I don't want to remove a counter? But no, you can't. You have to remove a counter. It's a forced ability. If it's dealt damage, then you remove a counter. It's not you may remove a counter. So there is some confusion, but one of the TOs was around and they fixed it. I'm sure they fixed it, but if you are in doubt, just ask someone like third party, maybe an organizer, maybe a judge, maybe the players next to you, unless they are in an intense battle. You can always ask, and I would do that instead of having a feel bad if you are playing your cards wrong, or if you are playing against someone who does. But they fixed it, and a Kaiser, that's nice. So Kaiser pumps all the green creatures he controls. Kind of a lord, pumps itself as well. So it has 4 toughness. That is a lot to answer for our Sligh player. We see a ball lightning in hand, doesn't really matter when he starts to gain life, but it could be stopped, perhaps. Swings and probably kills the Acolyte here. Removes 2 cards. No, kills the Lano Elf. So taking 9 damage. Unless there's something I'm missing. No, okay, I'm missing the pump, so taking 11, of course. I missed that the Kaiser, of course, pumped. So it's a 3/2 and an 8/8. Back to the Sligh player at 6 life, facing 24 life. So does he have it? He needs so many hits on that Nishoba to get it out. And I don't think it's possible. If you get to hit like only once with a Nishoba against Sligh, I guess the game is over unless Vortex is in play and you don't get the life. But here he got the life. Bolt. Activation. And that looks like GG. Fire Blast as well. So just showing that he had some damage at least. That's 9 damage he had in hand. But that's it. 2-0 for the Elf player.